Good afternoon, Madfest. My name is Laura Randall. I am Creative Director at Sidley Sport, and I am your last speaker today. So you've got 20 minutes, and then you will be in the pub. I will be quick. So I'm here to talk about how somewhere along the way, the greatest, most exciting industry in the world has somehow got boring. I'm, of course, talking about sport, the reason we're all here today. And it is the arena of excitement, the arena of passion, the arena of emotion so high that you throw your pint in the air if your team scores the winning goal. And yet, I feel like it's starting to get a bit dull. I think we can all admit that sports advertising especially is becoming very samey. Villa made an amazing kit launch last year featuring Ozzy Osbourne. Everyone loved it. But ever since then, every single kit launch has looked the same. You can see the script already, open in a greasy spoon, old white dude reading a newspaper, football player comes in, he looks up, looks shocked, off we go. That's the script of every single kit launch we're seeing these days. And even the big dogs are falling victim to it. I would say even Nike are falling victim to becoming victims of their own tired format. The big anthemic spot isn't having the effect and the impact that it should do. But if sports advertising is boring, then, oh my God, sports sponsorship is getting even duller. I don't actually come from the world of sponsorship originally. I came from the world of Nike, Adidas, the big brands where boring would get you fired. So when I came into sponsorship, I was so surprised at how samey everything was. A lot of corporate clutter, if I can say that, a lot of signage, a lot of logos, but very little creativity. It felt like we were seeing a lot of rinse and repeat creative, a lot of work that was being rolled out, exactly the same ideas, dusty ideas being rolled out just with a different logo placed on them. It's almost as if we've forgotten that sport is, the most exciting thing in the world. It's the one thing that isn't predictable. It's the one thing where the script isn't the same. So why are we rolling out the same scripts time and time again? And it means that we're creating forgettable ideas. By creating the same thing that feels familiar, that's all they are, forgettable. And the only thing that's worse than a bad idea is a forgettable one. I mean, I can forgive a bad idea. At least it sparks something. It sparks debate. It sparks anger. It sparks opinions, maybe even an angry thought piece in the drum. But a forgettable idea, it just rolls out. It goes into the ether. No one knows it exists, and it's cost you millions to do so. Your mum doesn't text you to congratulate it. Your head of brand doesn't even acknowledge its existence. And that's what we're doing time and time again in sports sponsorship. And we call those ideas at Sidley Sport sponsorship tumbleweed. What we mean by this is they're ideas that you're putting out there, content ideas predominantly, that we just we don't put the passion into, we don't put excitement in. And they go out, they exist in the background, and they're just there. Not offending anyone, but not moving anyone either. Kind of like lift music. And we've pinpointed the 7 biggest culprits. They're the cliches, the lazy defaults, the well-it-worked last year ideas. And we've banned them at Sidley Sport. So creatives do not come to us with those ideas, and brands do not pay us to come up with those ideas either. And the reason we've done this is because we realized that the first week, the first 3 days of our creative process, we could have 10 creatives working on a brief. They would come to us with the exact same ideas without fail. It meant that first round was always a waste. We could guarantee we would see all of these. We would see the skills challenge. We'd see the interview. We would see the Spotify playlist. Oh my God, so many Spotify playlists. The fan zone foosball table. The first PE coach. Ian Wright did it once. It was beautiful. We don't need to do it every time. And it got to the point where we just needed to say, this is enough. Come on, go again. And it meant that first 3 days was a waste of time for us. So we now start every brief by giving this to our creatives, saying, do not come to us with these ideas. And it's not me saying they're bad. They're good ideas. There's a reason why the interview works. There's a reason why the skill challenge exists. Everyone wants to see if Messi can do a crossbar challenge, right? It's content that works. But the thing is, we're talking about sponsorship here. We're talking about something where you have invested millions of pounds to get brand recognition, brand awareness, brand love. And this is the kind of stuff that BBC Sport or Versus can put out there. It's not something that is going to get you brand recognition. People won't remember the badge and the label and the logo that you're putting on these ideas. So these are some of my favorites out in the wild recently. Please, if you work for any of these brands, don't be offended. Massive kudos to all of you. I know how hard this is. I have made these ideas a million times. I know how hard sponsorship is, but the first one, let's start with Lauren James.
When I was 6, I joined Chelsea. I was training with the under-10s, the girls, but because I was too young to play games, I was playing for my boys' team on the week.
I mean, I don't know if I feel like I have to wake some of you up after watching that. It's she's possibly one of the most electrifying names and faces in football today. And Cadbury's are a sponsor of the Lionesses, which is a huge opportunity. So what they decided to do with that sponsorship opportunity was place Lauren James, head to toe grey, on a grey sofa, drinking a hot chocolate, talking about, for want of a better word, her sob story. I mean, I can completely get why they got there, but it's just really disappointing. And I think if we look at Rio, we recently went to the Champions League final in Munich, and Rio was everywhere, as he always is. And as you can see here, Qatar Airways and Just Eat did Rio Meets and Rio Reacts. And this is a perfect example of what we call category wallpaper. Both of these examples, think of being a consumer, especially this one on the left. You can see it's gone out on TikTok. TikTok is home to some of the most addictive entertaining content in the world, right? Some of the funniest young people are creating content that none of us can even dream of being as cool as and creating content for. They're blowing their mind every single second with this content. You then scroll and see Lauren James dressed in head-to-toe grey talking about her sob story. You're just not going to stop. It's such a shame and such a huge waste of cultural capital. And the same goes for Rio as well. No one is going to walk away from their phone thinking, oh, Rio Meets, Rio Reacts. Basically the same typeface, right? Basically the same concept. A real waste of such a huge talent. And I think the thing that we realise here is, excuse me, is that it's very easy for brands and agencies to think that the talent is your idea and that hot talent will make up for an idea that has very little creativity in it, an idea that has no entertainment, but that is just so wrong. In fact, the hotter your talent, the hotter your idea needs to be. The talent isn't your concept. And again, that's a really great example of this in the bottom. So we went to Baller League recently. I don't know if any of you have ever been. Great. It's amazing, right? I think it's a brand's dream. All of us can probably say that in the last 2 to 5 years, every brief we've had or any of you have written has said, like, connect me with the youth, right? That's all any brand wants. And a Baller League audience is basically like you shook TikTok upside down and this Gen Z audience fell out of it. They are all there ready to be connected with, all there videoing everything, creating content off the back of it, ready for a brand to show that they get them. And what O2 went with for their sponsorship line was Baller League powered by O2. When we were there, I was just so disappointed. And I think that it maybe goes up to a bigger brand line, which I think is powered by you. But like I say, there is an audience there desperate to see that O2 gets them, desperate to see that O2 gets this new era of football. And powered by O2 just feels like something that the account exec could have written. And this is the kicker. I'm not just here saying, please let me be creative. Give me creative freedom for my own creative ego. And so I can win as many Cannes Lion awards as possible. I mean, it'd be nice, but I'm anti-dull because dull is bad for your bottom line. Dull is expensive. There's a really great piece of research that has gone out recently by System 1. Excuse me, hay fever, throat is killing me. That showed that it costs 6 times as much for a dull campaign to make a dent. And what that means is it can cost up to £10 million more for you to get someone to care about your dull campaign. Entertaining stuff is cheaper. And this just blows my mind, I think, because being safe isn't free, it's expensive. Being safe isn't even safe anymore. It's ineffective. And the thing with sport is that I forgot my sentence, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So why have we gone dull? So I get it. There are so many reasons why clients have gone, why all of us have gone down. Clients, agencies, and one of the first ones is, I've put clients love comfort zones here, but it's not just clients, it's all of us, right? Agencies love clients, comfort zones too. We all do. There's something so terrifying about breaking the status quo. And there's nothing I actually hate more than us saying to agencies, and clients, please be more brave. I mean, it's really kind of a nuanced situation being briefed. I completely get how self-serving it sounds for us to stand there, say to you, be more brave with your creative. There's so many reasons why you're doing your sponsorship, and we get it. But what the previous slide has proven is that it's actually the safe zone is in creating something that is commercially viable. The safe zone is creating something that makes commercial sense. And doing that, you need to not make safe work. So if you really want to be in your comfort zone, you need to be pushing the boundaries. You need to be creating something that really entertains. The next thing is rights restrictions. If any of you actually are in sponsorship, you know how painful rights restrictions are. They ruin all of our lives. They're so inflexible. They are completely exhausting, and they really limit creativity. Something I'm realizing a lot, and I'm saying to a lot of our creatives, is to try and see rights restrictions as a blessing. Try and see rights restrictions as, instead of it being this vast open space of freedom that you have to come up with ideas, which I personally find terrifying, rights restrictions give us a clear path. They give us a path to success. Sometimes that's actually better. It means that you don't have this complete expanse of freedom where you don't know where you're going to go. It means that, yeah, you might have to be going down a path of an interview, but the challenge is, how do you make that interview more interesting than sitting a footballer down and asking him who the dressing room DJ is? We've all seen that a million times. And finally, death by approval. So again, I'm not standing up here saying, please don't take the edges off my work. Please just tick it off on the first try. I get that so many brands, your job is to rein me in, and you're so great at it. But I would love to leave you with an example we had with UEFA recently. UEFA worked with us on the Men's Champions League. They briefed us on an absolute dream brief. It was to connect the Champions League with a younger audience, with that shaken out TikTok audience. They said to us, we need to connect with them because they're watching the Baller League probably. They aren't watching the Champions League, the pinnacle of European football. So we wanted to connect with them through music. And we went to them with a pretty bonkers idea. It was basically a grime music show that told the story of the season of the Champions League. Sounds insane, right? We call it off-pitch, the UCL with a beat. And as a team, we had to go to UEFA's offices, amazing offices. I don't know if any of you have ever been. Super corporate, massive glass building in the middle of Geneva, right on the lake. And we sat in a boardroom full of the kind of people that you would expect would be in a UEFA boardroom, right? And we're pitching them this idea about a grime music show to promote the Champions League. Like I say, the pinnacle of football, European football. And what was amazing is they trusted us so much. And this wasn't finger in the air stuff for us. We backed all of this up with data. It was incredibly well researched. But the people in that room, predominantly men, were very accepting of the fact that they didn't know how to do this. They were very trusting of the fact that this isn't meant for them. And they really trusted us. And it was probably the first time that I have pitched something that actually then went out as close to the original pitch idea. And it's just a really great lesson in trusting, I think, the ideas that your agency have, as long as, of course, they are able to back this up by knowledge and data and real information, then, of course, then it's a really great lesson. So how do we make sports sponsorship great again? It's so easy for me to stand up here and go, well, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. Anyone can do that, right? But what we did at Sidley Sport was, like I say, we were bored. We were bored of saying the same stuff. We were bored of sports sponsorship not exciting us. We were bored of seeing the player interviews, bored of seeing the skills challenges. So first of all, we made our filter, and Sponsorship Tumbleweed is ours. It is our bullshit detector. It is our kind of creative bouncer. If we've seen it before, it's not getting in the deck. And I think that's a really great thing for agencies and brands to define. If you want to start thinking about what work you do want to do, start by defining the work you don't want to do. Secondly, ask the fame police. So anyone here who is at Sidley Sport knows who our fame police is. It is the wonderful Rory. He is our he's our chief strategy officer, and he drives me mad, as any kind of classic creative and strategic relationship should do. But he is so great at being the person in the room who always says, why would anyone care? Would anyone talk about this? And it's a question that we really have to ask. It's so easy for me as a creative to be precious about my ideas and say, of course they will. But you need that third party who is genuinely going to question, will your mum post about this? Will your son talk about this at the school gates? And if they aren't going to, then you really need to go back to the drawing board. Thirdly is what's the headline? This is a practice that I'm pretty sure all of us are doing, especially in agency world. You are putting this into a core simplistic headline that really gives you your sharp point, shows how people are going to talk about this idea. If the Daily Mail were to post about it, what would they do? I mean, let's use the Lauren James one as an example, right? Off the top of my head, it would be Lauren James talks about her struggles as a young athlete while drinking a hot chocolate. That to me is proof that idea shouldn't have left the original deck. You need to have a headline that wows you. You need to have a headline that you yourself would then want to click on. And then refresh formats. So, like I said earlier, interviews aren't bad ideas. Skill challenges aren't bad ideas. But we've all seen them before 1,000 times. How do you make that stand out? And carpool karaoke, if you think about it, is an interview just done in a completely different way. A really smart way. It's James Corden realizing that as you're driving, you're going to be more open with someone in the passenger seat, and it's also got music, which just dials up the entertainment. So if you've got 7 minutes with an athlete, think, how can you do an interview, but doing it in a much more interesting way? Do it in a way that hasn't been seen before. And then finally, involve athletes. So we've learned this a lot recently. We worked with Linkin Park around the Champions League final, and we knew that they had 12 hours in a hotel room answering questions, doing interviews. So in the lead up, we presented them with a bunch of ideas. So many of them were ones that we probably were going to kill before we went even into the room with them. We thought they were maybe a little bit too physical, something that a band like that wouldn't be interested in. But we went in with them anyway, and they were the ones they went to. And it was a real learning curve for us to show that if you involve your athletes early on, they will surprise you. They will want to do stuff that is more interesting, more brave, because like Linkin Park say, they're sat in an interview room for 12 hours. Do something fun with them, involve them, and they'll be so much more passionate about the outcome. So we've actually already talked about this. You guys led this up for me nicely. But I'd love to end with an example that got it right, not least because we made it. So Tommy Hilfiger's sponsorship of F1 the movie has genuinely been talked about as a really great example of sponsorship done right. So for those of you who don't know, Tommy Hilfiger has sponsored Apex GP. They are the fictional racing team in F1 the movie. That means that Tommy Hilfiger branding is all over the car's livery. It is all over the race suit. And also the capsule collection is featured throughout the movie and is all now also in stores. Genius marketing decision, right? Super, super smart. I'm not going to talk about a whole rollout. I'm not here to just give a case study on what we did with Tommy, but I would love to talk to you about what we did for the launch. So our idea was to launch this on the world's biggest stage, which is the Met Gala, right? You couldn't possibly have more fashion, Hollywood, celebrity, and cameras on you than that exact moment. So we got Damson to show up in an F1 car, branded with Tommy, in this incredible outfit, Swarovski-encrusted helmet. He pulled up on the red carpet, paps everywhere, shooting him, wondering what was going on. He then did this incredible reveal to reveal custom Tommy underneath. And it was an idea that was completely different. It completely backed culture. It was slick. It really worked in the world of this cinematic, high-profile movie. And yeah, we're super proud of it. And then a second one, unfortunately, we weren't involved with this, but I just love it. It was the driver's parade that Lego did at the Miami Grand Prix. The reason it was so great is, imagine how much money it costs to get Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris to post about your brand. I mean, Lewis himself is probably so particular that you can't even get it. No amount of money would let that happen. But this experience for them was so much fun. They got to drive around in a life-size Lego car around a Grand Prix track. And they got to crash into each other, sending Lego bricks everywhere before the race. It was incredible. They all loved it. And it meant that the biggest athletes in the world, the most prestigious, the most followed, the most influential, they were posting about this for free. And it is perfect proof that if you come up with a good idea that is entertaining and isn't just a content piece of, I don't know, an athlete building some Lego or talking about their journey of getting into being an athlete, this is the stuff that gets your brand out there. This is the stuff that gives you awareness. So if I can end with something, it is, let's make this unforgettable. I think all of us can easily forget that we are working in sport. This is such a privilege. Fans deserve so much more than safe, and sport deserves so much more than beige. And it's quite easy to think that we just need to fill space. We focus on our LED boards, we focus on our logos on shirts, but then we forget about the fact that we've then got, I don't know, a final activation to come up with, or 30 minutes on a Champions League final stage that we need to fill. And they're the ideas that can really get us the brand love. Like, the logos plastered everywhere aren't getting you brand love. They're getting you a bit of awareness, but there's so many more opportunities that come with sponsorship that I think way too many of us are missing. Thank you.